The millennial generation and also now Gen Z, we all know that these are generations who are active in terms of speaking up and speaking out and fighting for what's just, choosing, employers based on their moral, purpose and purpose-driven leadership and, voting with their wallets. Why have these generations been so successful in terms of having their voices heard on major issues like gun control, on LGBTQ rights, on climate change?
Gen Z in particular is the most informed generation of all times. And they have been growing up with an acute awareness of some long-standing problems in this country that they're experiencing in a really personal and immediate way, from gun violence in their schools to climate change, to now kind of everything that we're seeing, the kind of spotlight that the coronavirus puts on deep social and racial inequality in this country. And they see it, they know it, and I think because they are young, they have a boldness in addressing it. And I think we've seen that throughout movement history, is young people often have kind of both the moral authority and also the boldness to address problems that older folks get kind of entrenched in. So I think that's what it is. The thing that I am the most kind of interested in right now is how do you help Gen Z translate that political passion into actual political power? Because even though we saw in the midterms that, Gen Z was voting at record heights, it was still 70% of them did not vote. And so there's and that's not their fault. There is a number of very intentional and specific things that have been done to make it harder for first-time voters to vote. There's, in the last 10 years, 25 states have put harsher restrictions in to make it harder for people to register and turn out to vote. Mm-hmm. And so I think the kind of big focus that we have going into this very important election year is like laser focused on that question, is how can we help support Gen Z turning that political passion into power? And we're looking at all sorts of ways of doing that. How do you connect it more to young people's identity? How do you make it a part of when they turn 18, they just automatically think, oh, I have to register to vote, which doesn't happen automatically. It should. Mm-hmm. How do you make also just like the experience of voting more what they're used to? Like, we did a lot of research and focus groups in developing our Plus One the Vote campaign. And one thing that came back is like the way that our antiquated voting system works is just like really outside of the realm of if you're used to like being able to order anything you want on your phone automatically, and the fact that you would need to like go to a post office, send something in with a stamp, there was anxiety about like how to get stamps. And so how do we break down those kind of barriers to make it easy and more simple? And that again becomes even more important now as we as an entire country are figuring out how we are going to need to very quickly adapt in-person voting system between now and the election, so that everybody actually can safely have the opportunity to cast their ballot